Yes.
Distributed to the water rights.
Yeah. Hey.
So, but just in a nutshell, we'll make sure we don't get that letter. That's basically saying we want to read that they've authorized to redistribute.
Yeah, yes, he yeah. And the other things, on the resolution, it all relies part of the Arizona rescue funds for the that money is allocated as much as we need of that $100,000 for.
Yeah. Promise. Committed.
Whatever.
Don't go 41A, whatever. Wherever you go, don't go down 41A. Carol probably came up that, you come 41A? Yes. No.
Paving at the intersection.
It is a mess.
Okay.
It already started, Tony, good chairperson.
Well, then I thought it must be time to hear your name.
That's it. You didn't hear your name. Linda was you.
Oh, yeah.
He was never early.
No, he wasn't. And never turned out his homework.
I mean, he never said
I was raising him in the Lady Cantrell. He was at TCAP.
Yeah, we were just together the other day down there.
8th grade, first day of school, 8th grade, they bring in their little matchbox cars. They were just sitting back there playing on their dance.
Those were the good days.
Boys. My son likes those matchbox cars too. Get them out of my side.
And a month later, we had a total party.
I'll let you know if you're in trouble.
We did have, I don't know if it was that same year, but one year we had a total party. He was never anybody beginning to me. I can call him Chris now. Well, his dad, he had kind of straight relationship with his dad. And so when he out of high school, he got called himself Chris. Because he is Christopher Edward.
Yes.
See, I was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay, it's 4:15. We'll call the meeting to order and ask for further comments, please.
Okay, pray. Heavenly Father, we just give thanks to you for this day, this time we can come together to contemplate things concerning this county. We just are thankful, Father, for life itself, and we pray that we might never take for granted the life that we do have, and that we might live it in such a way that would always bring glory to thy name. We ask, Father, that you might continue to bless this county, to those individuals who are suffering, who have special needs that only you may know about. We pray that you might comfort them and lift them up. We ask a special blessing this afternoon, Heavenly Father, on the people of Ukraine. We pray that you would be with them in their struggles, and that you might continue to bless their endeavors. Be with this committee now as we ponder those things concerning this county. Grant us the wisdom to make the correct decisions of the things that we consider. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you for that. Roll call. Mark Clanton had another meeting that he needed to be at, so he is absent. I believe everyone else is present. And go for approval of the minutes for the March 22nd meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Our motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business, solid waste report.
Our annual progress report is finished and the numbers are higher than they were last year, so we're well within our 25% reduction in revenue. The report is attached. The environmental week started off wet, but ended up having some really nice weather. The Ag Center concrete floor is so much nicer now than the old dirt floor, but the kids had to sit on the cars, but still pretty dusty in here. There were about 1,200 grammar school kids that attended, and Barry Mitchell's Think Green had a turtle puppet Sam that the kids seemed to thoroughly enjoy. Had a lot of interaction for the kids. His message was doing their part to keep our world clean, since they will be the ones to inherit from the issues that we're leaving them with. We're getting about 6 inmates a day right now, so we're splitting them up into 2 groups to cover more county roads. If we get more inmates, then we'll put another crew out. They have dropped down this week, we've only had 4. You will see in the report that there was a big increase in tonnage and also in the cost of landfill for the month of March. We hope to have the old security lights changed out to LED bulbs before long. This will help light up more of the centers, and safety issues will be addressed. Really dark some mornings for the attendants to go in. And this will also help our drivers on the early morning tour with the offices. The quarterly reports, we ended up having a total of 35,545.41 income off of our revenue. The savings that, had we gone to the landfill, was part of that stuff that saved us another $5,400 on that. And there is a correction on January for the current year. It should be $12,172.87. There was a tire deposit that was missed on that, so I caught it when we did the quarterly. But anyway, as you can see, the annual progress report, recycled tons was 23,207.62. And we're really close to the diversion tons, the 94,420. Does anyone have any questions?
The cameras at the convenience center.
No, we do not have we did not get that grant that we were hoping to get for the cameras, so we do not have it yet.
There's another grant opportunity or donation opportunity.
So we're gonna try and get those out. But having the better lighting out there is gonna help you out too.
Diane, look on, I meant to ask you last time, look on the calendar year comparison on the recycling 2021.
It's supposed to be 2022, I'm sorry. Is that what you mean, right in the middle?
On the 2021, it's 199,000, is that number correct?
Yes, it is.
Wow. That's great.
The biggest part of that was because the metal prices were up the whole year.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
No, that, I went back and checked it too, when I saw it, I thought, looked way out, but that's correct between the increase and all that we're getting, but the revenue that we're getting off the middle basically is the only thing that really, getting a good amount of.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other comments? What's our next is HR?
Yes, so, you all received my report, and you can see what the, totals are for new hires, terms, resignations, retirements, and new hires for the month of March. So we have 8 coming in, about 7 between resignations and terminations. No retirements for the month of March, but we did have 3 rehires. We still have several job postings. Those are more, to date when I've been reporting of my report to you all, and not specific to the month of March. But we've already closed the trustee's office deputy clerk. That position has been filled since this came out. And the other ones pretty much are the same. The few things that I would just highlight, unless you all have questions for me, I did have the opportunity to attend the South Central Human Resources Summit that was hosted by Marshall County a couple weeks ago, and it was really, really good. Got about 4 hours of professional development in, and we had a lot of really good speakers with the genre. I am currently working on attending a job fair here Thursday to represent the county with private sector and public sector representation and all. So there's going to be a job fair on Thursday at the Masonic Arena, and so Becker County will have a table, and we have several different directors and elected officials that are going to come in and kind of rotate at our table, and our points, and an opportunity to apply and speak with the public in the second half. And the first session is specific to schools, and the
Next, Art Helms.
Through this, last month, I finished the hospital record review. And out of about almost 500 boxes, we saved probably 100 boxes. And those are related to, I found, what are considered permanent records of the board of trustees. Those are under the RDA considered permanent, so they're being stored away, as well as the, human resources and personnel files from about 1995 through 2005. So that's one batch down and on to the sheriff's records batch that were at the, in the rock jail. And so they're gonna be about the same percentage, I think. That's about, I'd say 20% of what can be, now be disposed under the proper RDAs. I can tell that, COVID is lifting because I've had several speaking requests for presentations related to preservation of historic records, but also requests and interest in what's happening with the courthouse and so forth, so that kind of thing. Want to thank Ms. Forbes and the solid waste folks. They helped me dispose of a ton of stuff that, not literally a ton, but a good many broken tables and equipment that the state left behind. And I had been getting rid of it. These were big pieces of furniture and so forth. So I'm getting more space ready for more shelving.
Questions, comments?
Where are we on the AC?
It's my understanding, Daniel got some 3 quotes, and that's the last I heard. Do you know
We
that?
processed it and produced it.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it.
I mean, it's moving.
I'm not aware there's a holdup except for the process.
Summer coming. Summer coming.
Summer's coming,
Yeah.
sure. Architects, none of them are present, I believe, here today.
Where are we on the courthouse?
Yeah, I'm afraid to tell you a date, but I'll tell you this, they're supposed to start the floor process. I guess it must be starting next week, I didn't see it there today, but they're still doing things there in the courtroom. So the floor was supposed to be the last big item. Now, the courtroom itself, there's some items that are on back order, and they've gotten some of the, it's coming along. Hopefully 30 days, maybe. I think that we ought to be where we can get in there. But you gotta see what's going on, figure out what we want the next step to be in that. So we'll be glad to have it behind us. It's
Mayor, when's the restrooms gonna be completed?
same time.
Same
Everything will be ready to. I mean, I was down there today. The toilets and what have you are installed, but they got to put all the divider barriers and those things in. It's not quite ready, but it's all supposed to come online at the same time, with the exception of some technology things that are in a container somewhere here, between here and China, I guess. Or something. Any other questions or comments about that? School, I know, is putting along, getting yourself ready to.
Yes, groundbreaking on Community High School Edition is at our next board meeting, which is June 21st, 5 o'clock. And we are getting close to having design for the new elementary school. Meeting this week on that.
Exciting things going on. Any questions or statements about architects? Moving on, monthly reports.
On your monthly report, tax collection on page 1, we are $706,000 ahead of the same time last year. If you look up at the analysis of it, you can see some months they pay more and some months less. Anyway, we're over last year's amount. Prior year collections were $350,000 greater than the same time last year. And on page 2, clerk and master collections are less than last year, but $23,000. Part of that's related to if they paid taxes to the trustees and they'll be turned over. So that's why that previous page was higher. Sales tax collections are $1 million greater than the same time last year. And that's the tax report. The next one is juvenile detention. Juvenile detention, we're projecting a loss of $177,000 for the year. And we did move one of the lines from, the previous page of traffic school, because traffic school collects jail fees for juvenile detention, so we moved it to the proper category. And the second page is, traffic school, we're projecting a income of $48,000 per year. And then the next area is you have a list of expenditures. Anything in red is above the average. So if it is above the average, then we'll have to deal with it as an amendment to this DA. So if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
So I hear any comments or questions? Oh,
The quarterly.
okay.
How we're getting to.
So you want to skip for now? Okay, yeah, so our other, monthly reports.
So, beyond the reports that we've got, there are two big things we've been working on. We've got legislation that has passed for our EMS apprentice program. Just waiting on the governor's signature. We've been working with the state association to get this passed. It'll allow our students, while they're in class, to function in an apprentice role for a short time to give them experience and on-the-job kind of training. Again, that did pass. We're just waiting on the governor's signature. We're also a quarter of the way through a EMT program currently. We should have 4 employees coming out of this program, hopefully. And the other thing that we've been working on, Chris Cox, our training guy, has been doing trainings all over the county, in particular the sheriff's department, helping with their in-service. So if anybody has any questions on that or any other reports that you'd like to ask.
Anybody have any comments? Is the governor's executive order or emergency order, is that expired?
It has not expired yet. That's why we're trying to get this legislation signed, because it doesn't expire after 180 days. So we don't want there to be a gap in between.
So now let's try this quarterly financial.
Okay, you have a copy of a monthly financial report that I didn't say anything about. We're on track with everything. The only thing we're really watching is fuel costs, because they've jumped up. The same information is in your quarterly report, is just summarized by the quarter, and that needs to go to the commission. So if there are any questions about it, you want to please.
Move to send down to the commission.
Second.
That's the quarterly. All in favor? Any opposed? And then I guess we need to approve the reports. Away from the regular reports that we have.
Move to approve the quarterly.
Regular monthly.
Regular monthly.
Yeah. All right, there's a second.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on. All right, surplus property, Board of Education. We should have a document in front of you that outlines these things, and I think the process is still the same. Your board, school board also approves these before they're sent on to us,
That is
right? So
correct.
everybody's in the loop about what's going on there. So we need a motion to send that to the commission.
Make a motion to send this surplus property to the commission.
Second.
Okay. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any county?
Send down.
Motion to send to the commission. Need a second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we've got a little bit of other business. We may have something that I will have down on the list. The first item to talk about, and we've got a resolution document prepared that we're just putting the final grammar corrections to it. We have been, our emergency communications system, that the entire emergency operations, all the services used in the county, has been into life for some time. It was a daunting task to figure out how we were gonna replace that. It was bought, well, I was the EMS director, maybe in 97, 96, I don't know if somebody's in the room who can remember exactly when we bought the current system we have, but it's been in existence. It's what's referred to as an analog system, and you may think about that with phones being digital and analog, and you had analog in the phone world a long time. But we've been trying to figure out how we were gonna get that transition and go on to the new technology without a substantial burden to the property tax. We are in a position, if this body is in agreement with this, we'll send it to the commission for consideration to actually, because the government did lift some of the restrictions on the ARP funds, we have an opportunity to actually make the purchase of the system along with all the hardware for all the agencies out of ARP funds. And so therefore it would not have to impact the property tax rate for the citizens to do that. Now that's police, fire, EMS, EMA, any of the other agencies that use our frequencies would benefit from that. This total project is like $5.2 million. Now what this will do is this would allow us to transition onto the state of Tennessee's what they call TACN system. And I got some people in the room a lot smarter about this than I am, if you want to ask technical questions. But what this will do is put us on to the state system. They will then take responsibility for maintaining and managing the system going forward. So the front end cost is a little bit expensive to get it up and get it to meet the standard for the state. But going forward, they will then manage the system for us, which would be a tremendous cost savings long term for us. The other big thing that this will do for us is this also will go a long ways toward ensuring interoperability. You may have heard that term during 9/11, and anytime there's a big national event, how agencies and governments can't speak and talk to each other. By being on this state system, we have the ability within the state to communicate with anybody that's on the state system, anywhere in the state of Tennessee. That'd be correct. And in theory, if there was a national event and Tennessee was tied into whatever that national event was into the system, we'd automatically be live in the system as well. So it is absolutely the national standard and best practice to have that interoperability and to be on this level of communication. We have to replace the system we currently have. Is this system the only system option out there? Not necessarily, but this would bring us to the highest standard. Lots of the counties are now looking to go onto the state system. There was a time when the state charged you a fee to be on their system. They have waived those fees, and so we would not have any cost associated with it going forward as far as maintaining the system. And it continues to ride on our towers, and we would be obligated to put in the correct equipment on the front end to meet their standards and what they do and operate with. But then going forward as issues or change out or evolution of the product, the state would step up and pick up those costs going forward. Although we would continue, as we've always had, the responsibility of changing out our portable radios or the radios that are in cars as they tear up or age out, or you get a new patrol car or something. That's no different than what we deal with anyway. But this amount, basically the radio system is about, looks like about 1.3 million of it, and then the tower side equipment and the change out and all the things that have happened is another about 1.9 million. When you add those together, that's where you come up with about the 5.2. Again, we had the ability with the second drawdown of ARP funds, which had not happened yet. We would have the dollars available to go to the ARP funds to make this transition. Again, not impact the local tax rate, which I believe would be the best choice. We have kept and committed ARP funds along the way that the commission has endorsed or been in the budget or did a resolution for, and those funds are in place. So this will basically complete the rest of those. And that's why one of the reasons, there were two reasons we were waiting on this. One was to see if the federal government was going to allow this to be one of the things you could do with it, and we have. And then number two was to make sure we had enough funds to cover the other things that we needed to make sure we covered, that we've all been on the journey for going forward. So it would certainly be my recommendation that we send this to the commission for their recommendation to use ARP funds for that.
And one question, I talked to Mr. Taylor yesterday, young May, concerning.
He's here.
Yeah, okay. And he was telling me, like, War Trace and Bella, of course, the fire departments are part of the FSI, and they would be under the blanket. But police departments would not be. so they'll have to go on their own to buy the walkie-talkies that would interface with counties.
Correct. If they want to come onto the system, which they ought to want to come onto the system, but purchasing one radio or two radios is not the daunting task. When you look out across ours, we had hundreds of them to buy at one time. And so, and again, it's a courtesy to the town of, any of the municipalities could choose to have their own system if they wish. The city of Shelbyville, by the way, that has their own independent system that would not be part of this, but it would open the door for them to transition to this system at some point if they would like to. And I think they already are looking, and if we come online, I think they're very interested in short order finding a way to, because again, this is the statewide system. If we were in Memphis, in theory, we'd still be able to talk to our folks right here if we're sitting in here. And that's powerful for our own operations and interoperability. But if there was a national event or we were sent somewhere, folks, our EMS has been in Florida during disasters and hurricanes and what have you, this again will give us the opportunity to dial in and be proficient. The big winner in the long game is the state would take over the responsibility of the upgrades and the managing of it going forward, the equipment for us. And so, again, I believe that this is a golden opportunity for us to address an issue that should have really already probably been addressed if we'd have had the resources to do it. And here's an opportunity to do it. Something good come of COVID with ARP funds, you might say, and this would be an opportunity for us to address that. And every agency would benefit from that, but you're correct. War Trace and Normandy, well, Normandy doesn't have law enforcement anymore, but Belleville would have a couple of cars, and so we might need a couple of radios and a couple of portables. I don't know how many staff they have, but all your fire equipment change outs and all the fire apparatus we have would all be part of this. Everybody would be getting this system, so it wouldn't be agencies having to come back and ask for budget amendments so that they can get the equipment they need. This is to totally integrate us into the state-of-the-art technology, right? And satisfy the state for them to take
Fire and EMS, everybody's on.
That's for every EMS vehicle plus handhelds for the staff. Same for fire, all our county fire vehicles and personnel. I contacted each department and asked them.
We've had multiple meetings prior to now. We just weren't drawing attention to ourselves. We were trying to find a solution, but all the emergency department heads have been in the room together, debating the different options, what is the best move. I believe that no one would question that the gold standard would be to do this. And so this would be, I think, the right time to do that, address this going forward, to ensure that we have the abilities. And this also will give us some redundancies, because through the state system, they can jump around and relink if there's issues.
Correct.
Short term. So
And the more counties that come online, the more redundancy that's built into the system. So if one tower fails, it automatically reroutes through towers that are still online. If the state system went down, our independent system here for Bedford County would still function until that link was restored. But there's, I believe, 3 fallbacks to the system, so it just reroutes.
And the state has mobile systems. If you lost an entire
Correct.
tower, they can come down with a tower on wheels, so to speak, and bring you back up. Those are resources, again, we don't currently have. And I believe I'm correct on this, as some of the other counties come online, there will be studies done about transmission and your portable working most efficiently coverage-wise. And we may have the opportunity where some counties may want to come onto our tower, and if that does happen, we have the opportunity to negotiate some kind of reimbursement to us to help offset that, as opposed to them building an entire new tower themselves. So there may be some funds that can come back to bring this number down long term, but the real win in this is, one, it's an immediate need that we've been trying to figure out how we're going to deal with it, and number 2 is the long game is the state would take in and take on the cost going forward. For us, unfortunately, what's happened so many times is when we get a new product, even when we got the new system all those years ago, we didn't necessarily have a great plan for how we were going to keep it managed and updated. So we kind of run it into life without having done some of the significant upgrades that probably would have been smart to be done. We got away with it, you might say, but the state would take on that role and responsibility going forward to ensure that those things are happening, and that we have a top-of-the-line system to use, because they rely on that system as well. They'll have the ability to use. They're going to jump on our system. We won't know it. They're in the background, but but there's a win for them in this as well, it's giving them interoperability for the troopers and everyone else across the state as they need to communicate in real time. Can even move some data.
Yep.
And other things associated with this too. So this is really the gold standard, and we have a real opportunity that I could have never foreseen that we'd had the opportunity to do this. So
Only thing I ask, Mayor, is, and I've been asked, what all did we spend that $9 million on? I can't ever remember off the top of my head. So
this would be 5.2 of it, or
what I'm
so.
asking is maybe at the commission meeting, have a printout of what we've done so far and show that it's depleted.
Yeah, we can show you where it's promised or being held or actually been
Exactly.
spent, because some of it is, what we talked about we want to do, some of it has been, already promised, and some of it is these projects that we're asking. to do.
That's all I ask is that, let's show the commissioners
But
where we
it'll be
are.
and we'll get you the resolution so you can see the mess, but the resolution would actually be to commit these funds when we're able to spend it out, because it would have to be distributed in, percents, and we've got to have the second draw of the money to actually have enough to pay it.
I'll make that motion to approve the resolution.
And we'll give it to you in advance. Like I said, there's no magic in it, we just want to make sure we've got it.
I'll second.
All right, motion second. Any other questions, or comments, or thoughts? Like I said, I do have experts in the room. Of course, the school system could actually be on that system with this. You may be sharing in the current system. Do they do anything on our current system?
No, they have their own individual
Okay.
sites, but
So in the future, it might be that if you're facing upgrades, then maybe an opportunity to, because this will be the gold standard for sure. So we've got motion second. Any other comments? So this is to send it to the commission.
Yes.
And we will provide supporting documents that will show you where we proceed and where we have spent ARP funds. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, next, Don has worked on a letter here and had reached out to some folks. I'm gonna let him explain it, what he's asking, or what the state would ask of us, and I think they've agreed that they are gonna allow us to do this. Is they need a letter saying it would be okay to divert our CBDG grant funds.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
I'll talk to them about that.
Community Development Block Grant.
There you go.
I'll bring you up on the continuing saga of the Union Bridge Waterline project, because it's been a very convoluted process. You recall, the county applied for a grant for $404,000 to put a water storage tank, 100,000 gallon water storage tank on Union Bridge, in conjunction with Wartrace applying for a grant, CDBG grant of $644,896 to run a water line through that tank. When the bids came in November the 20th of last year, both were exceedingly high. So we put the water line project kind of on hold. The contractor said he'd hold that, the price, the bid for a period of time. The engineer redesigned the water tank from 100,000 to a 50,000 elevated tank in hopes that we could get more bids on it. Those bids were opened March the 10th. Again, the storage tank bids were exceedingly high. At that time, you might recall, I did a spreadsheet how we could work to make that happen financially. Unfortunately, in the interim, the contractor, we approved that. The contractor says, no, I'm not gonna hold my bid, it's gonna be another $375,000 to do the water line, which is kind of out of the ballpark, which means that water line has to be rebid. So I called Lori Fisher at South Central Development District and asked her if I could send the supporting document saying, showing that we have done everything we possibly could to make this work, but it wasn't coming together. Could they petition the Office of Economic Development to let the county reallocate our grant money of $404,000 toward Wartrace's water line, so we'd have enough money to do that project, at least get the water line there. The engineer had designed the water line with a pumping station, so that it's basically a standalone project. There were 40 people who had signed up for this project. Without the tank, we could serve a maximum of 50, I said people, 50 families 40 families that signed up, we could serve a maximum of 50 families with the water tank. It would give us an option of having a greater capacity, and we could serve up to 300 customers. Well, we made the petition, Lori told me, we've never done this before. We've never had a situation like this before. So I asked her, she contacted Kent Archer at the Office of Economic Development, who is the person who is the administrator over the CDBG grants. And he said, we've never done this before. He said, it sounds logical. So he said, let us review it. And so yesterday evening, I got the final word that they had reviewed it and they approved it. Or what they need from us, the county, is a letter from the mayor. And Lori had drafted the letter up, and I sent it to Chad today, requesting, like a formal request, that we reallocate our grant money of $404,000 to War Trace to go toward their money so that we can do this water line project. The engineer on the project, Robert Stegall, is putting together a new budget for this project to be submitted with the letter. So hopefully this will work, and we'll have to put that out, out for bids. I'll call you back, okay. We'll have to put it back out for bids, but hopefully this package will make it work. So what I'm asking is, this evening at the Finance Committee, that there be authorization for the mayor, or recommendation that the mayor be authorized to sign this letter allowing this to happen. And also, if you recall, on how the resolution we did before for allocating our ARP funds for we're splitting it like $50,000 for the water line, and then basically left over for the tank. So the tank's a dead issue now. So I would also like to recommend that up to $100,000, which was appropriated, be applied toward this water line project as needed. It may not need the whole amount, but as needed up to that amount.
That's the 100,000 that we've already approved.
Right.
But we had it split, so this
Correct.
would say it could be used for either one of the two.
It'll be used for the water line.
Right.
Yeah, we'll just focus it on the water line.
Exactly. So our motion to do, is that your motion?
That's my motion.
All right, that we send it to the commission.
I'll second.
Yeah, send that recommendation to the commission.
All right, any comments, clarifications? We'll get that to you, so we just got it today too, for you to look at, it'll be in your packets. All in favor? Any opposed? One last thing I have, and then whatever else somebody has. I believe you got on your desk today, or at your table, you should have seen, there's an article about inflation and what those numbers are looking like and how nationally that's kind of shaken out. So this is just for your information. As you know, we're in budget mode, and we're trying to figure out where all these things fit. And between the kind of inflation that we're seeing, real inflation, we might say, right here at home, also trying to find a balance with a median salary study that we've been working on, and we have that information that we're plugging in so that you'll have that to look at too coming forward. But anyway, this is just for your reading, for your information, as we get ourselves closer to figuring out where we go from here.
May I make one more comment?
Sure.
I had given to Robert, and I know you have it too, Mayor, the proposed budget for the Bedford Partnership. The Economic Advisory Committee yesterday recommended that budget. And I'm going to ask Shane Cooper to come for our next budget hearing to make a presentation. And going forward, that be part of our nonprofit type of element of the budget hearings.
So loaded in there.
Loaded in there, yes.
Consideration. So, and this is just for our
Yeah.
information, right?
Pardon?
Whatever percent
Well,
hypothetical number that you're not roll around.
yeah, there's 3%, it's the hypothetical number. But it wasn't hypothetical, it was based on the prior 3 years of
But I mean, is that
nonprofits.
amount, you're gonna include that amount in?
No, no, we'd have to reconsider. It's a whole,
It'd be like the fire department.
well, we'll have to
They've got a
discuss
document that
that.
they want considered, so we'll plug that in for your, it'll be in your packet when we get to budget study. And, there you'll have an opportunity to take a look at that and figure out, what you want more clarification on, and then how you want that to lay in the final document for consideration. Okay, so no action, that's just information.
This is information, and then he can come to our, when we schedule our next budget hearing,
We'll ask-
get him here to give a
Opportunity to
presentation
answer
like the
those
other
questions.
nonprofits.
All right, now what about other business? Did anybody have anything I missed on this group? All right, how about some announcements? Anything you want to announce? Early voting's about to end on Thursday. It's the last day of early vote, and then the primary will be May 3rd. So if you haven't voted, we encourage you to vote, and definitely, if you don't early vote, please go vote. It is one of the few things that's left that's sacred, is your right to vote, so we encourage you to do that. What else? Any comments or questions? We're looking to adjourn.
That motion to adjourn.
All right, we're out.